we will touch upon one more time as a reminder for everyone about also the signs of the pure and sound heart. علامات القلب السليم. Just to remind you, we mentioned about 7 signs from the signs of the diseased heart. And we said, inshallah ta'ala, everyone, inshallah, should strive to purify his heart. Because this is the key, as we said, for behaving properly in this life and also earning and gaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and paradise in the hereafter. And we said the signs of the diseased heart for those who did not attend yesterday's khutbah Jum'ah. We said, number 1, the person does not feel any hurt or pain when he commits any act of sins. He doesn't feel any pain or hurt. Number 2, we said he finds both pleasure when he commits acts of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and shares his sin. He goes and shares his ma'siyah with other people. This is number 2. Number 3, we said that person dislikes the truth and he has difficulty accepting or submitting to it. And we said also he doesn't like to be among the righteous people. He doesn't like to be among the righteous people. But he finds a great deal of peace while among the evildoers and the sinful people. And we said he doesn't accept the nasiha, or he may not be affected by any kind of admonition whatsoever. And this is actually not only a sign for a diseased heart, but also a sign for hypocrisy, sign of nifaq. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the munafiqeen in the Quran. He said, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَسْتَمِعُ إِلَيْكَ حَتَّى إِذَا خَرَجُوا مِنْ عِنْدِكَ قَالُوا مَاذَا قَالَ آنِفًا. They used to sit with you, O Muhammad, and listen to you. As soon as they go outside, they say what he was saying, mocking you. What he was saying, and actually ignoring everything you have said. And we said also from the signs of the diseased heart that a person looks after the less important matters and doesn't care about the more important matters. Or he does not care about the essential matters of this religion. And also he wastes his time, as we said, about matters that are clear from the Quran and Sunnah concerning it's a halal or haram, but he wastes his time sitting and still searching for them. And this is also one of the signs of the diseased heart. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll touch upon the signs of the sound one, since, as we said, this is the only heart will aid you, will benefit you on Judgment Day, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Number 1 is, this is one of the most important things, a person loves to meet Allah. A person loves to meet Allah. Easy to claim, but very hard to put into practice. This is one of the signs of the sound heart. يشتاق إلى لقاء الله عز وجل. He can't wait to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He cannot wait to reach his final destination. That means if we love, that's why Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet said, whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet him. من أحب لقاء الله أحب الله لقاء. And whoever hates to meet Allah, Allah also hates to meet him. And Aisha said, Ya Rasulullah, كلنا يكره الموت. All of us hates death. We don't like maut. He said, Ya Aisha, ليس ذلك, this is not what I mean. But the person does righteous good deeds. يعمل الصالحات, and because of his righteous good deeds, then he has eagerness to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the sinner, because he commits a lot of evil deeds, so he's scared to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he's sure that he does not have enough to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. But when the person do his best and doing as much as he can, then inshaAllah ta'ala that he will have peace of mind. He will not worry that much about death. Death can come at any time and he will be ready for it. So loving meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is number one from the signs of the pure heart. Number two is the opposite of the other one. We said the diseased one doesn't feel any hurt or pain when he commits acts of disobedience. But the true believer, he continues to be upset with himself anytime he commits a sin until he finally and completely repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anytime you commit ma'asiyah, he can't wait. He can bear it. But subhanallah, he right away, subhanallah, repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's okay. So he continues to be upset with himself anytime he commits ma'asiyah. When he begins his salah, this is one of the most important things. When he starts his salah, his worries and anxiety about this dunya leave him. Meaning when the person starts his salah, he doesn't think about anything else other than that time, how to perfect his salah, how to do it in the best way possible, and to try to have concentration and khushu' and khudu' in your salah. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. So when he begins his salah, his worries and anxiety about this dunya, his businesses, whatever, his children, his family, he leaves everything behind and just to focus on the ibadah that is coming to perform. Because, mashallah, we have 24/7 to think about our problems. But the person, when he comes to pray, this time he should devote this time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why, subhanAllah, even that, you know why ulama disliked to talk about, for example, businesses in the masjid or any other stuff. Because when you leave the house and you come to the masjid, you are in salah. You are in salah. When you leave the house, coming to the masjid, since you left your house with the intention of coming to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are in salah. Even the ulama said, you are in salah, you are in a state of salah. You must watch what you say, and you must, inshallah, behave properly as much as you can because you are in salah. Since you left your house, come to perform the ibadah, then you are in salah. Not just when you stand 5-7 minutes in salah, since you left the house and come to the masjid, until you leave the masjid, this time you are considered to be in salah. And you will be rewarded for that by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, he's more concerned about the correctness of his deeds than he is with the performance of the deeds. You might do a lot. many acts of worship, but most of them are not according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here is the point. You might do a lot, but many of them or most of them not according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not about how much you do, it's about how correct you perform them. تصحيح العمل. This is very important. Any ibadah you perform, any act of worship you perform, make sure that you are doing it according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because for any act of worship to be accepted, two conditions must be met. If one of them is not there, the act will be rejected completely. What are those two conditions? Sincerity, ikhlas. Any act of ibadah, any act of worship requires ikhlas. Without the ikhlas, the ibadah will be accepted from anyone. Number two, we just have said, it has to conform with the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do it according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If one of those two things is missing, then subhanallah, the ibadah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pay you for it, will reward you for it in this life. He will give you something for it in this life. But in the hereafter, you will not find anything for it. And this is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. When a disbeliever do any act of goodness, he does not do it according to the religion. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him for it in this dunya, will pay him back for that. وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. But in the hereafter he will have no share, because he got the reward for this act in dunya. That's why make sure that sincerity and do it according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So focus on the correctness of your deeds more than the performance of the deeds. The time. The true believer is stingy with his time. Shahih, biwaqti. He is very stingy with his time. But subhanallah, he said, more than a greedy person with respect to his wealth. Look how the greedy person doesn't like to give. Also, the true believer doesn't like to waste any time without doing something beneficial. This is very, we have a lot of time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with much time. But sometimes we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to use it. Make sure that every minute, but every second of your life, you are doing something good. When we talk about something good, there is a lot more than just because in Islam, everything you do according, as we said, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an act of worship. So make sure not to waste. When we say, don't waste your time, meaning do not waste your time in front of things. At the end, you try to find out what did you get from it? Nothing. Except the corruption from your mind and your heart and causes a lot of things for you. So, be stingy with your time. Be stingy with your time. More than a greedy person with respect to his health. And subhanAllah, that's why قال ابن مسعود ما ندمت على شيء كندمي على يوم زاد فيه عمري ولم يزدد نقص فيه عمري من عمري ولم يزدد فيه عملي. Ibn Mas'ud, he said, I never regret for anything more than one day passes without my life, passes from my life, and this decreases my life. But I did not gain anything, or I did not increase anything in my record. So inshallah, this is also very important. Last thing from the signs of the pure heart, if a person misses his any act of worship or his daily recitation of the Quran, he's more upset than if he had lost his wealth. Can you imagine this? That's why I told you this story before when Hatim al-Asam, one of the righteous people, he's from the second generation of Islam. One day, he did not attend the Salat al-Isha in Jama'ah. And no one asked about him. One day after that, he lost one of his children. And all the people of the village came yes. And then yesterday I missed the Salat al-Isha, but no one came to me. And today I missed my son, I lost my son. And the entire village came to me. By Allah, he said, by Allah, missing the Salat al-Isha in Jama'ah is harder on me than missing my son. So can you imagine this? He said, by Allah, missing the Salat al-Isha in Jama'ah is harder on me than missing my son. Look at the level of piety, and look, this is what we are talking about. If he misses his daily recitation of the Quran or any act of worship whatsoever, he's more upset than if he had lost his wife and children. If you have these signs, you love to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you start your salah, your words and anxiety leave you, and you just focus on salah, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we can tell you congratulations for having a pure heart. On top of that, make sure that your heart is free from shirk. Make sure your heart is free from shirk. This is the most important thing. Make sure that you have the pure and sound and clear aqidah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The aqidah that we explained a few days ago, make sure that you have them inshallah ta'ala. So by this we finished the signs of the pure heart, the signs of the diseased heart. And there is no need to know the signs of the dead one, because the dead heart is the one who rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely. And he denied Allah's existence. And alhamdulillah, we are not one of them. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm on this path, inshallah, until the day we meet him. Allahumma ameen. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرزقنا وإياكم القلب السليم. اللهم ارزقنا القلب السليم. اللهم ارزقنا القلب السليم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من النفاق، ونعوذ بك من الرياء، ونعوذ بك من الغل ومن الحقد ومن الحسد. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق، وأعمالنا من الرياء، وألسنتنا من الكذب، وأعيننا من الخيانة. اللهم إنا نسألك الرضا والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك الرضا والتقى والعفاف والغنى. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم.